Hello everybody, it's me, Farham. We're here with Path of Exile 2, and we have got our endgame Deadeye farming build online. This thing is tier 4 Sims capable. It's killing bosses, and you have to deal with a single boss mechanic on tier 4. It's pretty fast around maps, and it can be faster with a bit of personal preference too. We'll talk about that a bit later in the video. We're going to go over the passives, we're going to go over the skills, we're going to go over the gear, we're going to go over where I think we should go with this character for high investment in the future, and cover off a little bit of where you could probably cut some corners on some of the investment to get this thing up and running a little bit more of a budget. Current budget of the build is looking at about 25 divines plus another 20 that I would like to talk about as very much optional. I purchased the item to conceptually show something, and it was a very slight DPS upgrade on what I had. I'm talking about 1 or 2%, but it's to talk about the power of these diamonds and what we can do with those to really scale the shit out of this build into a high investment endgame. And with all that, if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a like and a subscribe. It really helps, and let's get on with the build. We jump into the passives. Let's talk a little bit about the build theory and the build concept. So the concept of the build is to get the enemies onto low life, because the low life passives on the tree give us the most single attack damage. Why do we need the most single attack damage? Because we are using a weapon that doubles our crit bonus, but that has really bad base damage. So everything that we can get to increase that base damage number ready for the massive critical bonus is going to be pretty good. What's the drawbacks? Well, we have to rely on our presence area to get all of these bonuses, and enemies have to be within that. So we need to boost that presence area while also maintaining enough EHP to not get one shot in tier 4 sims, and maintaining enough boss DPS output that really we only have to deal with one, maybe two boss abilities, and then kill a tier 4 boss, while also having the ability to scale on into something quite powerful. So, that being said, how are we pulling all this together? Well, we're going to start off taking a dive into the passive tree, so let's jump into that now. Taking a look then at the passive tree and my character sheet, ignore the lightning resistance. I'm a divine away from sorting that. I promise. Just a divine, and that's sorted. Don't look at it. It's horrible. I always get your resistances to 75%. Anyway, so we've started off as a Deadeye, going for point blank, because we're basically staying up close and personal with the bosses, standing right in their faces, and that gives us the most damage. Endless munitions, because that synergizes up with Storm Lance to mean that we only need to cast Storm Lance twice to have the most number of available lodged spears without using Scattershot. Then we are basically pushing up to get the Frenzy Charge bonuses. Everything we do is empowered by Frenzy Charges, so 30% chance to gain maximum is huge. And then skills consuming twice, acting as if they've consumed 2 frenzy charges, also huge, because their biggest bonuses come from consuming frenzy charges, typically things like 50% more damage, chaining better, that sort of stuff. So we really do want to get that and double those bonuses. Then what is our tree actually doing for us? So it's doing 4 main things. Boosting our base attack damage as much as it can through low life nodes, supporting us with good movement speed for decent map clear, ensuring that under the right conditions with the right skills we have 100% crit chance, and also doing what it can to shore up our defenses to make sure that we're not a one-shot within sims. So let's go through that and what we have done. So coming up to the start, we go through blur, we take the movement speed. You can fit in a point lower if you go for the attribute nodes, or if you need attributes for anything, you can take these attribute nodes, but be aware you're sacrificing 4% movement speed there. I'd still dip in and take blur if you decide to go on this outside route. Coming up round here, we've got our first set of low life nodes. These are huge. I can't begin to express how important lucky hits is. It's like every hit gets rolled twice and the best outcome's taken. It's amazing, and everything we're hitting, especially bosses, on low life all the time. And then the rest of this is just huge damage bonus. There's also 2 more 30% damage bonus nodes here that are well worth picking up if you've got the skill points, or if you're so inclined, don't want to take main. Moving on round, we come up here and we grab Cooked, we grab Escape Velocity, grab Catalyst, and we grab Stand and Deliver. The reason we're grabbing so many nodes here, which might seem slightly inefficient, there are definitely better nodes than these 5 here, for instance, around on the tree, is because of the Time Lost Sapphire. This gives us additional bonuses based on the notables and small passives that we've taken within its radius. I'm going to do a section specifically on these. These are reasonably expensive. We're going to dive into these a little bit, and I'm going to talk about what to look out for when buying these, because there's a couple of traps on the trade site. But just be aware, we're taking more skills around here because it's a really good place to put a Time Lost jewel in there. To pick one of these up, you want to be putting these skills here. If not, you want to distribute them back to something like Coming Calamity for these 3 points here. For these 2 points here, I would go and put them back on the low life nodes here. That's if you're not using a time lost sapphire here and you're using some sort of well-rolled emerald or well-rolled sapphire instead, because you haven't got to the point of getting time lost. This is the 20 divine jewel, right? They're time lost emeralds, which give even more damage, are even more expensive, and we're going to go into those. But anyway, coming up around the tree, grabbing maim, I think, is reasonably important. We don't get maim support anywhere else. This is more for sims than anything else. These are not the highest damage nodes you can take, but I cannot maim and slowing things down by 30% in sims, along with God, got the name of it. Oh no, temporal chains. Almost got it. Temporal chains down to sort of takes them down to about 46% slow magnitude on them between the two. Like they jump through the air and they don't hit you very fast, so it's quite important for sims. If you're not into running sims, again, you can redistribute these to more damage. The coming calamity nodes are the best, or you can take more crit bonus nodes. Coming up around here, we grab acceleration. There's skill speed, there's movement speed. It's fine and dandy, it's good. Precise point, roll and strike, focus thrust, and javelin. Then we move down to grab this jewel slot. I need the extra crit hit chance. I'm using a crit hit chance jewel here. Crit hit chance, damage with spears, crit bonus, all of these things are very, very good. That's what you want to be looking for on your jewels. We have slots for a few. Coming up, we grab the next jewel here. This is another place where we can actually fit another time lost sapphire. This is actually a very cheap one. This is one you can pick up for about a divine or 2 divines. So I grab one of these for the purposes of this demonstration, but there's some cool lines you can get here for this sort of build. Presence area of effect is really good, right? It increases how quickly something's given the low life tag and therefore takes a lot more damage from us. Definitely worth picking up maybe one of these cheap ones if you didn't want to splash out for one that's giving you the crit damage bonus, which seems to be what makes them quite expensive. Meta skills gain energy, kind of a pointless line. We gained so much energy anyway, but it was just here. But this had crit damage bonus, presence area of effect, and medium, and that was nice and cheap. So hits all these nodes, makes just parts of the tree we're already picking up better. These are great jewels. Definitely want to be shopping around for those. Going up and grab Throw Seeker as well. Wild Storm. We grab Eternal Youth. This is to basically keep our energy shield topped up. We get our life back from another jewel. These are really important. Grab a sapphire that has mana on kill and life on kill. It's really important for mapping. You want one with both somewhere in the build. So the life on kill deals with our life. Eternal Youth deals with our shield, and that's how we heal ourselves. In boss fights, it's not really important. If they hit you, just don't get hit by the bosses, right? You kill them before they attack too many times. That's the idea. As far as the From Nothing goes, there's a couple of schools of thought on this one. I went with the cheaper school of thought. You can get a grab From Nothing that gives you Dance with Death and save a few points around here, about 5. Alternatively, you can grab a From Nothing that gives you Unwavering Stance, which is about 6 divines and not 60 divines. And then you can grab Finality and some more damage against enemies on low life, which is a fantastic pickup, giving an extra 180% damage over there. So that's a really good pickup for not many divines. I'd suggest investing in one of those From Nothings. Up here, we grab True Strike for the Jugular and Deadly Force. We need all that for crit. Up here and grab Careful Assassin. I would love to be able to drop the Careful Assassin node, but I think you would need a max Kringle Roll Tangle Tongue to do that. So that's a long way off. Definitely a stretch. Just covered off the Sapphire. Mana on kill. Mana on kill, life on kill. Energy shield is good. Presence area of effect. Something like this is quite cheap, and all of those stats benefit us a lot. Then we're going up here to shore up our tank. We're grabbing Patient Barrier for that 60% increased maximum energy shield. And we're also grabbing Ingenuity as well. We've moved over to using the Hand of Wisdom in action, so stacking up a bit of intellect is definitely a good idea. And that's the tree. So tree fits at 95. We could fit it a bit earlier. This question often gets asked. We could drop the 2 nodes here. That fits it at 93. We could even go as far as switching out a node from here, which would fit it at 92. And finally, if you are feeling particularly brave, you could fit it at 91 by dropping that Ingenuity there, although be aware you would need to be running probably level 14 and not level 19 skills if you did that. So overall, build should fit around 91. You could probably squeeze off some of these as well and get it working in maps, no problem. With this exact setup, you could probably squeeze off these two and actually fit it at 89. But I wouldn't be taking it into Sims or Tier 4 bossing when it's that slimmed down. So that's the tree. Let's do a little bit of a deep dive into these Time Lost Sapphires, because I just want to highlight something about these, particularly about how they're represented on the trade site, to make sure you guys don't get stung while trying to buy these things. I did. Don't fall into the same trap as me. Let's cover off that one now. So in front of me here, I have a search for what is some very, very good damage Time Lost Emeralds for this build. In fact, buying any of these would be a massive DPS increase. So the two lines you'd be looking for are critical damage bonus for attacks, critical damage bonus for spears. Both of these can roll to 10, and then you can get 20% on each of your notable passives. See the price of these? These are the sorts of stretch items, but they're going to give you considerable damage increase over what we're using at the moment. Definitely big, like probably shaving seconds off of the boss kill time. However, when searching for these, if you're thinking to yourself, oh, I could get one of these and I could use some of the purple currency, make sure I'm only removing suffixes or only suffixes. So, sorry, no. Yeah, so you'd be one's a suffix, one's a prefix, right? So I'll lock one in, and then with a fracturing orb, and then I'll re-roll the thing until I've got a much better looking jewel that's got the crit damage bonus for spears, let's say, and then I'm going to re-roll this pack. I'm going to hope to hit this one with a fracture or this one with a fracture. Then I'm going to re-roll the other one, so I've got a 50-50 chance of fracturing. These have already been fractured. How can you tell they've been fractured? Because they don't appear as fractured on the trade site. They don't have the S0 or the P0 on the side here. But the trade site doesn't show you that. It just shows you without the S0. So be careful if you're buying these and looking to craft them. Do be careful, because you can end up absolutely stung. If you're seeing ones like this, just think about it as like, am I going to use it? If it's got only two P's and one S, or two S's and one P, am I going to use it? Not am I going to craft it? Word of warning about these things. Trade site's terrible for it. Lost some divines doing it. Next up then, let's talk about the gear. There's quite a few uniques on this build. Some are optional, or some could be worked around, and we will talk about what those workarounds will be. That's why I've got the passive tree open behind us, so we can just sort of gloss over what you might want to change on the passive tree if you did want to drop any of these uniques out of the build. Some would definitely not be optional. With how we got the tree set up, and would just be basically a whole nother build. I think the one that definitely falls into that line is the Spirit Bone Crown. Without that, then all of this is kind of useless, and all of the present stuff we're doing is useless. So let's start there. So the real crux, the unique that's giving us this huge damage bonus, allowing us to exploit the highest damage nodes on the tree, is the Spirit Bone Crown. It's pretty crap. All in all, it gives you life, it gives you chaos resistance. We like both of those things. The armor could give or take the armor. The energy shield is rather low, and it's got a funky... It looks cool. It makes you look like a chess piece. It's fantastic. You can actually pick these up with plus 20 up to plus 30 spirit. They're not particularly expensive to get that plus 30 spirit roll on them. But that plus 30 spirit roll, you could cover off that extra spirit on the scepter. Although I would say that the cheapest way to do it is actually to get it on the Spirit Bone Crown. So recommend getting one of those with the spirit on it. Next up, we've got the Tangle Tongue. Now, this outperforms all mid-range spears. It outperforms all low-end spears. The only time this starts to get outperformed on single target DPS, or indeed even AoE DPS, is once you get to the triple figure divine or the mirror tier spears. They will of course outperform this, but Tangle Tongue is what you want to be looking for. Now, this weapon's going to have some variations to it. If you want a tree to look exactly like mine, you will need one with about the same crit hit chance that we've got there. You need to be holding to hit max crit on your Stormlance, which is the one that's very important to have max crit. You need to be holding this number here about 87%. If you can get that to 87%, then once the enemy's blinded with blindside with 15% more critical hit chance, that will get to 100%. That's what counts. So make sure that when you're using the Tangle Tongue, if you've got crit hit chance lower than this, you might need to adjust the tree slightly. So yeah, the points that are oncoming calamity, they can go around. There's crit hit chance nodes dotted around the place that you can take to fill up. There's about 30% that you probably need if you were running a 20% crit hit chance with 2 sockets. Now when you're looking for your Tangle Tongue, the best thing you can get, if you can't get Kringle Corrupted with extra critical hit chance, is one with 2 sockets, and the best runes you can use, believe it or not, are 1 to 30 lightning damage. This thing's crying out for base damage. You can sim it. The crit strike runes never ever come out on top. The crit chance runes, the crit damage runes never come out on top. I was really surprised, but the 1 to 30 lightning damage always does come out on top. The only thing that does beat out the rune socket is Kringle Corrupted critical hit chance, because of what you can actually do with the tree and the extra points you get back from those critical hit chance nodes that you no longer need to use. Next up, the third unique. This one I would say is less optional, but if you do get a well-rolled rare amulet with +3 proj skills, you've got the spirit on there, you've got some energy shield, it's going to look pretty nice, and If you wanted to swap that out, I think it would be feasible. I've allocated Tainted Strike on it for the extra crit as well, and the extra magnitude. Well, I think what you would probably want to take, although it's going to be slightly wasted, is Exposed to the Storm. That's going to get you 30% pen if you wanted to swap out this neck. That would probably honestly be enough for most fights. Some fights will take a little bit longer where the bosses have got lightning resistance, but it's going to get you through a chunk of the resistance. My only umbrage for taking that is Exposed to the Storm is kind of wasted because we don't any lightning exposure. But the only other options we've really got is to go either for Surging Currents, which is a lot more points to get there, or, well, that's it. That's our only other, or Primal Sundering, but that's only 12% when you get down this line. So would suggest if you did want to drop the neck, probably want to take these 3 nodes for the pen. But I really wouldn't drop the neck. The critical hits ignore monster elemental resistances when you're critting 100% of the time is massive. Like, it's really huge. Trying to shore that up with a neck, you're again going to need almost a mirror tier neck to beat it out on DPS. However, do understand a different neck can provide other things. Evasion rating, energy shield, life, resistances, right? There's a lot of perks from taking another neck. So something to consider. Not 100% required, but you would need to change the tree to build around it if you did swap it out. Last unique is Hand of Wisdom in action. If you get these things corrupted to 1 to 12 lightning damage, that is going to be your best, but any will do, and then stack up some in. They're going to give you the most flat lightning damage out of any set of gloves. A very well-rolled set of rare gloves would be better. Again, you would be looking for flat fizz, flat lightning, crit bonus, and then you could just shore up with some extra defenses, better energy shield, that sort of thing. Very, very good pair would be better rolled, as well as then also stopping the need from go so hard into scale out the Hand of Wisdom in action. So something to consider there. More of an optional unique, but these are a very cheap, very good way of getting a lot of DPS online. Next up, we'll talk about the Scepter. This is reasonably important. To fit this build as is, you need 334 Spirit. However, I know there's a lot of rower enjoyers out there, and for mapping, you could easily swap Blasphemy for the rower, and then ride around on your rower for mapping, although I suggest taking this for sims and for bosses. You could also swap this out for Enfeeble. But to do that, you would need 340 Spirit, in which case you would need a 168 Scepter, or a 28 Spirit DPS Tower. I am one short of being able to do such a switch. Boo. However, on your Scepter, what do you want to be looking for? You want to be looking for Spirit, nice high Spirit roll, and Presence, area of effect, right? That is absolute massive quality of life for us. If you can get one where you can use all of the lines and all of the lines count like this, then give yourself a pat on the back, perhaps bake yourself a cake. That's very nice. As far as the rune goes, you can get yourself a Fox Talisman. If you need the extra Spirit, then you can get the Spirit one as well. But 20% increased Presence, area of effect. More quality of life. Fantastic. Looking over at the rings, obviously you want to be sorting out your resistances, your stats, but as far as DPS goes, you want to be looking for that flat lightning, flat fizz. They're your best lines. Other line, this one's got percentage lightning, not so good, but flat fizz, flat lightning, quite important. Resistances, stats as you need them. On the chest, resistances, life, defenses. The chest can only provide defenses. There's no offensive lines here, so you want the highest resistances, the highest evasion rating, or an energy shield as you physically can, at the highest life. This is a stat stick for defense. That's what the body armor is. On your belt, you want to be going for a utility belt. Being able to spam press your flasks for 20% instant recovery is really, really good, especially in Sims. 3 charm slots, I would say, is absolutely mandatory, and I will explain why in a moment when we get to the charms. Extra life, strength, resistances. Strength is quite important. You can get basically all of your strength requirement from a max rolled strength on the belt. Lastly, boots. My most important thing is movement speed, stats, resistances, right? Try and get those resistances capped. You can socket these with presence area of effect as well. I favoured this over my 1% lightning resistance. I know I'm shameful. I've also favoured it over chaos resistance and getting that above 56%. I know I'm shameful, but I like the big green circle. Finally, let's look at these charms. So this is specifically a lineup for Sims. There's some horrible threats in Sims. Everything stuns you. Take a stun charm. Make sure it's got more than 50% increased charges so you can use it 3 times. Take a staunching charm. Doesn't have to be the unique one. Can just be a staunching charm. If Omniphobia hits you, he will make you bleed. And it will kill you. And with Eternal Youth, you got no way of staunching it outside of a charm. You need a charm. And a Thawing Charm, because if they happen to get cold damage for the wave and they freeze you, it sucks. So grab one of those. Potions, pretty standard. Just nice, big, beefy potions that heal you lots. I like to get an increased recovery on the mana potion, so I can just spam my mana potion up to full. Also just get increased amount recovered. Just, you know, potions that look good with big numbers. Remember to quality them, unlike me, who hasn't actually qualityed his potions. That's very, 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 very naughty. I don't think I've even got the things to quality them, but let's just help that out a bit. So you don't have any quality potions. That's the gear. There's some of the switches you can make, and if you wanted to change some of those uniques, what I'd recommend with a skill tree. Let's jump on over and take a quick look through these skills. Covering off the skills then, we've kept it quite simple. We have an active skill for clearing maps, active skill for killing bosses. Both of those skills are used for sims, and we have a single support skill for when something is tough. So 3 active buttons and our flasks, of course. Starting off with the clearing skill, the one that almost is certainly going to get some sort of nerf, but they buffed it. But anyway, Lightning Spear. Oh, it's the flavour of the day, we're using Lightning Spear. Who would have thunk it? No, it's really, really good for clear. There's nothing like it, and we're speccing hard into Storm Lance, and these two things are very synergistic with one another, so that's my excuses, and I'm sticking with it. Within our Lightning Spear, we have got Fork. Doesn't make the original Spear Fork, but it makes all of the projectiles that come off the original Spear Fork, and then you clear whole screens. It works very, very well. Next up, we have Volt. Now, I was not a Volt enjoyer, but supported skills chain 1 time per 10 voltaic charge you consumed. That's what gets you the big clears. It's not about the extra lightning damage. We couldn't give a shit about that. It's got enough damage to one-shot things without the extra volt lightning damage. What we care about is the chain and getting those huge, juicy clears, and it does it so well. So, yeah, stick Volt in there. Martial tempo, so we can just throw spears more often. This is more for big number bigger than anything else. I think we could put a better rune in there for actual real damage in real combat situations, but martial tempo will do. Innovate. Make other skills better, make yourself better. It doesn't really get used in bosses, so in the path of building, which is linked, Innovate is not turned on. That should be our boss DPS that's shown there. Primal Armament, it does a lot of extra damage for the skill. It helps it crack tough rares, particularly in Sims 4. Next up, we got Orb of Storms. Now, this is really important. It wasn't as important before. It's like, oh, it gives you rage, and then you walk out of it, and then you don't have the rage anymore. But now, this is our support for applying Blind, and Blind is absolutely integral for getting to 100% crit on Stormlance, which is absolutely integral to doing the big dick damage. So put Blind in Orb of Storms. I've put it in the first slot because it's the most important. If it doesn't do anything else, but it just Blind, that's fine. If you want to find another way to blind with another thing you put down, that's fine. Orb of Storms, however, has another advantage. It can run Font of Rage, which gives you some setup time to get about 20% more DPS on your opener for things like Zeshit. We'll do the same for Arbiter as well. So would recommend running it with at least Blind and Font of Rage, slap in Font of Blood and Persistence in there as well, because apparently Greater Jeweler's Orbs have started dropping again. Next up, we got Herald of Thunder. In this, we're running Maim now. We've already... Well, you could still argue about running Ambush, really, because it doesn't have 100% crit, and that would give it 100% crit. But we're running Maim, so it aims stuff all the time. Just umming and ahhing, really. It mostly just electrocutes things in Sims, and it does some damage in maps, but it's not... It's such a piddly bit of our damage and a piddly bit of our clear that I'm almost sort of... If it wasn't for the electrocuting and the fact that it does electrocute things, which generates us extra frenzy charges, I'd just drop it from the build. The main thing it needs to run is electrocute and neural overload for electrocuting quicker to generate frenzy charges using combat frenzy. The other runes, you pick and choose, whatever you want. Just don't run blind in it and think it'll work as your blind support, because it doesn't go off on bosses. So I've just stuck long shot, maim, and concentrate effect in there. But I mean, I'm happy. Comments below on what you think the Herald of setup should be. Number doesn't get bigger, and it seems kind of pointless to even be here beyond the fact that it sometimes electrocutes in Sims. Next up, we've got the big one. This is where all the damage comes from. This is our boss killer. This is our nuker. This is our silly snack skill, only we don't have to position to push a boss against the wall. We can just throw these things at their fucking feet. Execute. Enemies are on low life. I didn't put this in the last version of the build. This is 50% more damage. It's by far the biggest damage increase on this. It's the first thing you should put in there once you're running low life. Then it's lightning infusion. Blindside. This gets us to this. These are in priority order, by the way. Next up, blindside. 15% more critical damage bonus. That's more. That's not increase. That's multiplicative on all of our increases, and the 15% more chance to critically hit. That's what gets us our 100%. The blinded enemies from Orb of Storms. Overextend. 30% more critical damage bonus. Just fucking critical damage bonus out the wazoo. And finally, Deliberation for 20% more damage. So what's that? That's 70% more damage. 15% more critical chance. 45% more critical bonus. And then just to top it all off, 25% of damage as extra lightning. Why not? That's Stormlance. You'll see that bullies Eshit shortly. Hopefully. If you stick around. Next up, we got Combat Frenzy. No supports needed. Don't even need to use a lesser orb on it. It means we generate charges when this thing here electrocutes. I think there's a way you could work these things off the board and say off and save 60 spirit, by the way. Be able to fit things like Barrage back on and still have enough charges just from how many Sniper's Marks we cast. But anyway, that will hopefully be a future iteration if we test that one out. Next up, we got Trinity. This is pretty consistently up. Now, in Path of Exile 1, you needed to have all 3 resonance types for Trinity to be active, I believe. Doesn't work like that in PoE2. You just get a 13% damage increase for every 50 resonance you have. Just doing 1 elemental type, you get 100 resonance. That's 26% increased damage. Yeah, it's expensive, but we've got the spirit to run it because we're running a scepter. So it's 26% free damage. It's up all the time. Compare it to Elemental Conflux, because Elemental Conflux switches between the 3, which means it's got 66% downtime on average. Trinity feels like the better choice, even though, well, Elemental Conflux has got 66% downtime, but it's got about 3 times the damage. So it would about even out, but I think the consistency from Trinity is really what I'm looking for, rather than having to like wait for perfect lineups for bosses. In here, we've got socketed Lightning Mastery, Fire Mastery, and Cold Mastery. Do not bother +1ing it, because you need to get it to level 25 to get 14% more elemental damage. So, +1 your other stuff. Next up, we got Wind Dancer, Unbreakable, and Close Combat. Close Combat isn't sitting anywhere else, and if anything hits us, it's generally close enough that we get the full damage bonus from this, and then Wind Dancer makes them blow up. It's quite nice. Next up, we got Blasphemy. Now, this is where I think there's some real optionality in the build with this 60 spirit. If you've got 1 more spirit, you need 340, right? If you wanted to swap Blasphemy for the Rower for mapping, I think that would make good sense, so that you're always moving at full speed even when you're throwing your spears. That would be fantastic. Also, if in Blasphemy you wanted to run Enfeeble instead of Temp Chains, I think you would get similar outputs on the defensiveness. It's just a question of whether you want to rely on your own reactions or just soak the hits with a damage reduction. So Temp Chains, Enfeeble, definitely options there. We're running Temp Chains, and with that we're running Encumbrance. Why are we running Encumbrance and not Heightened Curse? Well, because Encumbrance doesn't make it cost more spirit, and Heightened Curse does. So we're running Encumbrance, Ritualistic Curse, and Magnified Effect. If you were to run Enfeeble, I'd just chuck Encumbrance out of it. Just run it with Ritualistic Curse and Magnified Effect for the bigger area. Last up, we have Cast on Critical. So this is very much quality of life, but I would recommend getting it, because otherwise you're going to have a bad time pressing extra buttons. This applies our Cast on Crit, Sniper's Mark every time. Not every time we crit, so that's not how Cast on Crit works. So Cast on Crit does respect the cooldown time of Sniper's Mark. So with that in mind, you want to run Ingenuity, Profusion, Impetus, and Energy Retention to get this cooldown of Sniper's Mark down to about 1.54 seconds. Between that and the Stormlance attack time of 0.72, you can see there is a 0.1 second time if we do everything right. And only between us attacking, getting both attacks out, the new Sniper's Mark appearing, and then it's having a Frenzy Charge, everything should be Frenzy Charge. But make sure you are running Ingenuity for that, otherwise you will find yourself throwing unfrenzy charge spears more often than not. Could run without Cast on Crit. Don't recommend it. Then you have to manually press the Sniper's Mark. It's annoying. And I don't like doing it. But they're the skills. That's the skill lineup. Let's showcase this thing, right? We're going to take it to a tier 4 Zeshit. We're going to take it to a tier 4 Sims. And show that this thing is capable of endgame farming. showcase this thing in a tier 4 breach then. We're going to do Simulacrum as well, hopefully. Simulacrum's still a bit hard, but doable. The main thing. Into the breach we go. Nice new microtransactions where we can hide all the armor. So basic ranger skin, just how it's supposed to be. Nice and default. Nice and vanilla. Nice vanilla looking character. None of this fancy armor shit. Don't need that. So we can just run forwards, just throw the odd spear. Better to throw it when you've got 30 volt for the extra chain. Back onto enjoying volt. If you do throw it with all of the volt, they chain lots. Very good. Everything just sort of explodes. It's kind of nice. Rares sometimes decide they don't want to. Because we're running only 100% crit chance on Storm Lance and not Lightning Spear. You do occasionally see things not take damage. Very occasionally. This would be resolved with just more crit chance, which you could get from the weapon or the skill tree. We should have covered this earlier in the video, in fact. About where this build can have huge investment to scale into ridiculous endgame. But I believe this is vision compliant. My first boss fight was about 45 seconds long, and now they're about 10 seconds long. Well, you're about to see how long they're. And soon I hope they will be 5 seconds long. And everything will be on farm. That lot. That lot. This corner. One. Oh, it's another rare. Pop him right in the face. Spear that one. Oh, look, catalysts. Catalysts for everybody. Chance shards, alchemy orbs, breach rings. Wow. Oh, this breach ring's rubbish. Let's have a look. Oh, it might not be. It's got high dex roll on it. And then we go to the boss. This is the big finale. This is what we've been building right on up to. We find the boss, and then we put down our balls. We should have put that down earlier. We're not going to have as much rage as I wanted. Okay, he's down. He's down. Not spearing. He's going to hand me. And that's the boss kill. So, if you don't get the hand at the start, it's a little bit faster, but you just keep throwing spears at him. If you actually time it that you only throw spears when you've got frenzy charges, it's even faster, but you can just hold down one button gaming, right? Just hold down Storm Lance, the boss dies. Make sure you redo all the storms, because that's what blinds him, and then damage. But yeah, that's tier 4 bossing. I think we can get that down to not even doing the first ability, if I'm honest with you. Just to show no fooling. There's the Delirium 8 out of 8. There's 8 out of 8 breach as well, but you can tell that from the boss's health. Let's get right on into this. Go to the Realm Gate. We'll stick in this Simulacrum. And off we go. This is sweaty as hell. In fact, you could tell how many... what it is from how many portals there are. They've got us now. This is I'm probably going to have to lock in for some of this. I might not talk a lot through this showcase. I will try to talk, but it's the brink of being able to do Sims, right? It's showing that it's a Sims capable build, and with more investment it's just going to get easier and easier. I just threw a spear at my Kiwi in absolute fear. Not the Kiwi bird. So you want to use a combination of the Storm Spear and Lightning Spear. The Storm Lance and Lightning Spear. The Storm Lance will... If things jump towards you and you're near the frenzied Storm Lance, it just deletes them. It works as really good coverage. You can also use it to get rid of scary mobs like this by throwing them in front of you and then running over it. Mana Suckers, Temporal Bubbles, it deals with them really well. So it's got a strong playstyle for that, which is part of why I wanted to use this particular weapon. I thought it might work a lot like the Bell in that instance, and it seems like we're reasonably correct on that. See, we can take a hit, it doesn't quite break our shield. Later waves, that starts to get kind of scary, but we're just about okay. You do want to be keeping an eye on that health, though. If you do drop at all, you want to be making sure you get it back up. So keeping an eye on that, get used to watching that health, that shield over the health bar. You're gonna want to be watching the middle of the screen as well. You want to be watching for jumpy dudes. Missing a jumpy dude is not nice. We're also running the charms we're running specifically for Sims. So Sims with the way the changes to bleed has made Sims particularly dangerous. And this is of course pre-nerf. 0.2G with the nerfs is not out yet, so I expect this to become much easier following that. I imagine that they will be making some significant changes to Sims. And the difficulty spikes, I would imagine, on how much the damage intake is on the later waves, as opposed to anything to do with numbers. So having stun and freeze charms and bleeding charms, definitely a good idea. Bleeding charm is just a very good idea for this build in general, as the bleeding hits straight to your health, and it hurts.
Nice spear.
It really hurts. Proximal tangibility, a little bit scary as well, but the huge presence area that we're now rocking really does help with just damaging these guys as soon as they spawn, really. The danger is not being in position for a boss spawn or missing a boss spawn entirely, and then them jumping on you. Normally spawn around the 3 or 4 mark, but that does depend on how fast you're killing stuff on the rewards. And learning their positioning where they spawn is important, remembering that the orientation changes every time here. Likes to spin the map. Feel crazy. All work and no play makes Farham a fog boy after all. Here we are, fogging it up. Back in the fog again. Back where we belong. Fog is where the home is. Oh, there he is. As you can see, he's just like immediately stunned from just our sheer girth. The girth of our spear. A nice spear.
Craft that shit.
We might craft that shit. Don't tell her though. Don't tell her we're not going to craft that shit. She'll get really upset. Be absolutely distraught. Oh god, not the server lag thing. Pause the game for a second. Oh no, not this. Not mid-recording, guys. Come on. Come on. You can't be having any sort of input lag during Sims. Miss jump is worth 2 in the bush. We've got Mana Sucker. He's a ranged Mana Sucker. He's a Mana Sucker nonetheless. He's probably the most dangerous. We don't want to get caught by the by 3 lightning dudes at once. That will be instant death. Got a little bit of electrocution going on just for good measure. Mostly happens from our naughty Herald. And we're picking up bases for days. Which of course is part of the joy of Sims, because we're in a tier 82 area all the time. Everything that drops is level 82, so if it's a white base, it's worth crafting to someone. It's top tier. Tier item. I'm gonna have to lock in soon, I promise. Psychosis and osmosis. Just spear him. Stand and deliver. Bit of Adam and the Ants. Prince Charming. It's not me, I'm not Prince Charming. This one's going to play. See things slow right down. Even when they jump towards us, they hit that temp and then slow down. There's just enough time to move away. You have to pay attention. Up in the corn rows, up in the fields. Very more song. Absolute banger. Check it out. It's my gift from me to you. On to the next field. Scarecrow in this one. Very frightening. We can't regen guy. Where things get scary, right? Because we can only heal our health through the art of killing. Like the art of war, but subtly different. So this is a bit of a sucky area because it's kind of tight. And if the bosses do spawn, it's like, whoa, here they come. In control. Things are locked out. We haven't. An osmosis to the face. I know his name's Omniphobia. I like to call them Osmosis and Kosis. That's right, we can take an Osmosis to the face. This is important. Feel the sweat. The heat is on. My lips sensually there, guys. I remember I'll do a little zoom in. Start putting more spears down. That was actually epic how he fell there. It was like something out of an action film. Last 3 waves, we have guaranteed Osmosis and Kosis. I'm going to start calling him Omniphobia, I promise. I'm going to start calling him Omniphobia. Unless you all agree with me that Osmosis is actually much better name. Okay, so we'll keep it up. Get our little secret. Ooh! Kind of why you want to kind of be where he spawns, right? Because if you're not near where he spawns, he can spawn and just immediately do his jump attack. We can just survive it, but it's like fight. If he hits us right with the middle of it, it's a no-go. We're done for. So you do want to be careful on that. They spawn kind of near where you come through. They basically spawn right just through those spears. So we're going to try and stay here, keep the balls up, keep the blind up, so that as soon as they spawn, we've got the most chance of just insta-deleting them. Should be about now. Repeat that twice more.
Nice spear.
And we'll be good. Don't really want to be missing spears. Mana Sucker at the same time as the boss is kind of scary, especially when the Mana Sucker isn't going down. Bear in mind, we do get an 80% damage Malice at this point. I think it's 80%, so we are having to kick out some numbers to do this. Some like all round. So the numbers on the DPS numbers on your sheet, just don't pay attention to them. Get Path of Building, check it in there. Make sure those spears are down where those bosses are going to spawn. It's basically our tactic, right? If they hit us at this stage, we are in big trouble. There you have it, guys. Tier 4 Sims.
Craft magic
Not a
spear.
problem. Another closed helm. That's my 5th closed helm. Fantastic. Alright then, guys. Well, there we have it. There's the Tier 4 boss kill speed as it currently stands, and Tier 4 Sim showing it's actually, I think we've probably got it just about on farm. There's going to be those odd occasions where we just take a one-shot, probably from Omniphobia or Kosis, but I feel like this character's got everything it takes to farm all the content in the game without any need for any real switches. Basically got one-button gameplay for clearing, one-button gameplay for bossing. I would say that we're pretty vision compliant. I think it's going to scale to kill bosses in a completely ridiculous time, and I'm sure it might not be here in 0.3, but I'm going to have some fun with it for now. I'll catch you in the next video.